Feel free to grab yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea while we wait so that we don't waste your time. Okay, the YouTube link has just been sent. Let me just send it. All right. I think we are live already. Let me just check something here. I do see your hand. Can I just get back to you later on? Because I'm trying something for the first time, so I would not want to find myself a bit disturbed. Osama, we ready to go? If you can, I think you can give me an indication on your YouTube side. Oh, okay. All right, I do see. All right. Right, we are good to go. Now, ladies and gents, good afternoon or good evening from wherever you are watching. Please note that this session is available after the session. You can still go through this session at your own time. Do feel free to go back to the group, the YouTube channel, as I have sent to you. Do feel free to engage there. Right. Tomorrow we are going to look at the answering techniques for an essay type question. Today, I just want us to look at the contextual question for Hamlet. Now, I need to state this as someone would say categorically clear that the Hamlet questions are not the simplest of questions to look through, especially, let me not just say Hamlet, but the Shakespearean questions are not the simplest to attempt. So in my opening remarks, I would like to really advise a number of you who are not that strong when it comes to Shakespearean. You should know by now that you are either strong or not based on your June exam results, based on your preliminary exam results. And even before the prelims, you had to sit and write a literature exam or a literature assignment. So based on the outcome, please make sure that you decide right. Remember, at this point, you are working towards a pass that is going to give you a mark that is going to cause you to enter particular spaces. So this is no time for experimental grandiose, because you are trying to ensure that you secure the bag and you secure it the right way. Now let's look at the first thing that we need to do in attempting this particular question. If you look at the screen, you will realize that we are looking at a scene that comes, an act that comes from the third act as well as the first scene. Now, at this point, if you have no knowledge of what happens in each act, you are surely going to be very much disadvantaged in terms of your knowledge base and what you should be giving as the response. Again, please do note this is not a comprehension question, and therefore we are not asking for comprehension questions. So some of the answers are not on this particular extract. However, the extract will have what I call the triggers or the triggering words. So once you understand the triggering words, they will give you a clue of the type of an answer you should give, or the type of an answer you're required to give us. Now, let's begin by looking at the characters. The first two characters we see here are Ophelia and Claudius. Now, our memory should help us at this point to remember who Ophelia is. So Ophelia is Hamlet's mother, and she is also Hamlet's wife, or the late Hamlet's wife, or the late Hamlet's father's wife. So again, we are looking at a woman who is at this point related to Claudius through marriage. So if these two are to marry, then we call their marriage incest, because the sexual activities which will take place under such a marriage are considered incest or incestuous according to the religion. And in this case, we are looking at Christianity. Some other religions may not consider this to be an incestuous relationship, but according to biblical standards, under which this text is based, it's a religious community that we are dealing with. So their union is seen as incestuous because it includes intimacy between two related beings. So we are looking at the fact that they are related through marriage. So these two are by right related to each other, and therefore they are not expected to marry. So their marriage will, of course, give suspicions of the fact that they could be having an affair even during the old Hamlet's time. So already Ophelia and Claudius are suspects when it comes to the manner in which in the manner in which the old Hamlet dies. So already your information and your knowledge base regarding these two characters needs to be at this point very much clear. Nwafo, I won't take questions now. Just write your question down, and then when I open up a question and answer session, you will then come in. Now, I'm just giving you a background of what you should know regarding these particular characters. So let's look at the third character. The third character is Polonius. Now, when you look at Polonius, Polonius is the king's right hand man. Now look at how I've written right hand. It's right, then a hyphen and hand, and this gives us a compound word. So he's a king's right hand man, and also is looked at as a spy for the king. Now, he himself calls himself an honest spy. I mean, when you look at the word spy, there's absolutely nothing honest. So this presents to us an ironic situation. So we look at Claudius's assertion of himself as an honest spy as an ironic situation, because there's absolutely nothing honest in him spying for the king. He uses his daughter to spy, he uses his boy to check other things, and he uses some other person to spy on his son while he is away. And therefore, all of these spying tend to have very negative repercussions at the end of the story. So we are always supposed to at least have a background knowledge of the characters we see in the extract, and then we can start working on what it is that is going on in the extract. Now, Ophelia says, "Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown." Now, again, you are not going to treat whatever you read very mildly. We are looking at a noble mind. So already we're picking up diction, which is going to be our triggering words that will take us to the answers. So we are looking at a noble's mind, or noble mind, which is overthrown. Again, we are going to consider the word overthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholar's eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state. Now look at how this person with a noble mind that is overthrown is described. He is a rose of the fair state. So we are looking at the state being Elsinore, where this thing is taking place. Elsinore. So he is the rose, and when you look at the connotation of a rose, it's something that is very precious. It's something that is very much beautiful. He is the glass of fashion. Again, look at the word choice here. The writer uses glass, transparent, of fashion. So glass of fashion could mean connotatively, he is someone from whom others learn. And the mold of form. Now, mold of form. The observed of all observers. I mean, is the observed of all observers rather, quite down, There's a repetition here of the word quite. So there's an emphasis of his humility looking at the word down. At this point, we have no clue who is this person because it's not yet revealed. And I of ladies most deject and wretched. Now, let's look at what Ophelia calls herself. Of ladies, she says, I am the most deject and wretched. Of course, we will look at you as a deject material or a wretched woman because it seems as if when your husband was still alive, you had a relationship with his brother Claudius. If that was not so, you would not have hurried up to get married to him so quick. You would have stood your ground as a woman whose husband has passed on. You should have been able to remain strong and never give in your sexual pleasures. So you are wretched. That sucked the money of his music vows. Again, there's an issue of sucking the honey. Now look at honey. Honey is sweet, and his music vows, we are looking at the words that are, or the vows are words that are always said right at the marriage altar, which now is said to be musical vows. And if something is musical, it has a melodic flow to it, it has a harmonious flow to it. And as listeners, we tend to love that particular presentation that we have before us. Now, see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells, again, sweet bells, jangled, out of tune and harsh. Now, for those who understand music and the art of the musical instruments, they would understand that for any musical instrument to sound good, it must be within tune. It must keep up with the melody. It must keep up with the harmonies. But now, if we are looking at the jingling of bells, we are headed to the festive season. It's going to be jingle bells all the way. So the jingling of bells is also connotative of the joy, the joyous presence, the atmosphere that is welcoming, and everything that we need to ensure that something goes well. But these are not just bells jangled, they are called sweet, but they are out of tune and they are harsh. That unmatched form and feature of blown youth, unmatched and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. And then she says, whoa, oh, woe is me. There's an exclamation here. And the fact that there is a use of an exclamation mark, it indicates the height of an emotional response that Ophelia is having here. Oh, guys, sorry. Hey, I've nearly miss. Oh, I see where Nwafo was coming from. Hey, Ophelia is not Hamlet's mother. Can I just erase this? Your Askis, guys, Askis. Ophelia is Polonius's daughter, who is allegedly, because there is no evidence in the text that says she is Hamlet's girlfriend, but we can read between the lines. So already we know who Ophelia is talking about here. She is talking about Hamlet. Yeah, it's on record that I have corrected this one. I don't want you to go into the exam room and giving false information, otherwise you're going to fail. So sorry, guys. Right. So these are words she is using to describe the love of her life in inverted commas, because there is nowhere where we see that this is girlfriend and boyfriend. But we do see some signs that there is an affection between the two. So she continues, she says, blasted with ecstasy, and then she says, oh, woe is me, that seeing what I have seen again. What has she seen is a very great question. So at this point, she feels a bit heavy in her emotions that she has seen something. And we can tell at this point, she has seen a Hamlet who is displaced. So we are looking at a Hamlet who has a disposition that is very much unclear to those around him. She prays. As she prays, enters Claudius and Polonius from behind the arras already. As I read this, I need to remember three things. So Ophelia had a discussion with Hamlet. Hamlet seemed to be very crazy or dispositioned. And then finally, Polonius and Claudius, they come out of the arras. So again, that spy issue. So again, this is a very much unfair use of someone. So Ophelia is used to get some information because they want to verify if Hamlet is indeed crazy or he is just acting crazy. And Claudia says, love, his affections do not that way tend, nor what he spake, though it lacked form a little. Now, so his affections, Nelly said Romeo, Hamlet's words of love are not usually tended that way. So there is something that Claudia sees to be strange about how Hamlet is showing his affection to Ophelia. Nor what he spake, though it lacked form a little. So what he spake, what Hamlet said, seemed to be without form. What does it mean? It means it didn't make sense at all, which then could mean that he has lost his mind. Was not like madness. There's something in his soul. Now he begins to realize that it was not like madness because there's something in his soul over which his melancholy sits on brood. So his melancholy is his depression. It sits on brood. And I doubt that hatch and disclose will be some danger, which for to prevent, I have in quick determination thus set it down. Now he has determined to say, although he looks very much crazy, his melancholy sits on brood. There's something about his depression that is not sitting well. It doesn't sit like something that is depression. It seems as if this person might be acting. And I doubt the hedge and the disclose will be some danger, which for to prevent, I have in quick determination thus set it down. He shall with speed to England. So he says, you know what, in the time being, while we are trying to figure out whether this boy is mad or not, I am determined to quickly send him with speed to England for the demand of our neglected tribute. Demand of our neglected tribute. Right. Let's quickly push here. Haply the seas and countries different with variable objects shall expel. So hopefully, if he goes abroad and to a different country with a number of different objects, his madness shall be expelled. There's something settled matter in his heart, whereon his brains still beating puts him thus from fashion of himself. What think you want? Then Ophelia comes forward. Polonius comes in and says, my lord, do as you please. Now he is effecting the kingship and the fact that the king can rule. He says, you can do as you please, but if you hold it fit after the play, I love this, after which play we call this the mouse trap, or the play in a play. Now remember, when you look at the word mouse trap, it is quite literal. You are trapping the mouse. And with what are you going to trap the mouse? You are going to trap it with the very thing it loves. So Hamlet has a plan to trap Claudius using a mouse trap or a play in a play. So he wants to figure out if what the ghost had said was correct. Let his queen mother all alone entreat him. Now, Polonius brings in a suggestion to say, you know what? Let his queen mother entreat him or call him to show his grief. So we are going to use our modus operandi of spying. So we're going to get his mother to try and figure out what is wrong with him. Let her be around him, and I'll be placed, so you please, in the ear of all their conference. Again, Claudius is using, I'll be placed in the ear of all their conference. So I'll be close to hear what it is that they are saying. If she finds him not, to England send him, or confine him where your wisdom best shall think. So he says, if you can't send him anywhere, just send him where you think is best. Not for him, best for you, Claudius, so that he is away. Then he says, it shall be so. Madness in great ones must not unwatched go. So he is saying, in other words, this madness can never be ignored. We need to ensure that we keep a watch and see if indeed this lad is mad. Ladies and gents, if your extract doesn't look like this, it's very rare of you to get the answers. But do remember, you only have 2.5 hours for the entire paper. So you're not going to spend too much time on one question. Let's look at the questions. 11.1, again, first things first. We underline instructional verbs. Describe. What are we describing? What occurred between Hamlet and Ophelia just prior to this extract. Here's our answer there. Let's go back. We said what could have happened here is that Ophelia met Hamlet to try and figure out if his madness is valid, and she is not trying to figure out, she is sent by these two men hiding behind the arras. So you start by saying Claudius and Polonius are hiding behind the arras. They have sent Ophelia to pick up a conversation with Hamlet to determine whether or not Hamlet is indeed crazy. Hamlet realizes that these two clowns are behind the arras, and he gets crazy about it, and he acts mad so that Claudius and Polonius would think of him mad. Just simple as that. That's your 3 marks. Is it 3 marks? Let's just verify if it's 3 marks there. No, it's 2 marks. But all of which I have said will be enough to give you the 2 marks. So number 1, 11.2. The question is why? Why what? Why do Claudius and Polonius enter from behind the arras? Why are they entering the scene from behind the arras? Quite simply, they are hiding in order to eavesdrop Hamlet's and Ophelia's conversation to determine whether Hamlet is indeed crazy. That's all. Right, 11.3. Now we're still on the lower order questions. Refer to 11 to 12. Again, always go there. Now, let's look at the trigger. The trigger is, oh, woe is what I see. Right, let's go to 11 and 12. 11 to 12. Oh, woe is me, that have seen what I have seen, see what I see. Right. We see a number of and a couple of exclamatories that are used here, which also indicate the heightened emotion of this particular character. So what are we looking for here? We need you to explain. Now you're going to give an explanation for what? What these lines reveal about Ophelia's state of mind. Before you answer this question, you look for the triggers. Reveal, state of mind. State of mind here, we are looking at how this person is feeling at this time. So looking at the words that precedes her exclamatory, she says, she calls him the rose of the fair state, glass fashion, observed of the observers, quite down, most dejected and wretched, sucked the honey of his music vows, sweet bells jangled, out of tune and harsh. Now, she moves from all the positives in lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then she interjects and says, sweet bells jangled, out of tune, and they are very harsh, unmatched from an unmatched form and feature of blown youth. Oh, woe is me that have seen what I have seen. She is at this point, first of all, let's start here. The question of the state of mind. This is how you answer it. First, tell us, how is she feeling? She is either in disbelief, she is shocked, She might feel disappointed. Why? She feels this way because the person to whom she had looked up, who was very perfect, who was very sane, now begins to look insane. 2 marks. Done. 11.4. Refer to 16 to 19. Again, start by looking at the triggers. There's something in, be some danger. But you must go to 16 to 19. Now, 16 to 19. There's something in his soul over which his melancholy sits on brood. And I do doubt the hedge and the disclose will be some danger. Which, oh yeah, I think that's where it ends. Will be some danger. Right. Let's look at some words here. Something about his soul. Now, when you look at soul, you are looking at someone's mind. That is the thoughts. You are looking at their will. That's the decisions they make. Emotions. That is the way they feel. So his mind or thought patterns and the decisions he makes are driving a particular emotional response in him that is out of tune. We are not used to this type of a Hamlet. Right. All right, we have about a few minutes left. So now let's look at the question. We have looked on, we are not done with our triggers. Soul, we are looking at melancholy, that is depression, which sits on brood. Then he says, I doubt the hedge and the disclose will be the same as some danger. Yeah, that's it. So there's a sense of doubt that what he is disclosing as madness is something that is not quite dangerous. Now we are moving to the next level of questions. That is your 3-mark question. This is where many of you get lost because you always are able to pick up the 2 marks and you fail to pick up the 3rd mark. So what are we doing here? We are giving a discussion. What are we discussing? The insight given into Claudius's character in these lines. So looking at line 16 to 19, let's go there and see who is speaking. So that's Claudius. What is the insight into his character? What is the insight that we are getting about his character? So his character is one that is able to judge something, but sometimes it may not judge it correctly. 2, he's a doubtful man in this case that Hamlet could be of danger to him. And at the same time, he is undermining Hamlet, or he has an undermining approach to the fact that Hamlet could be of danger to him. So we are looking at characterization here. What kind of a person is this person? Looking at the word choice that we have highlighted and discussed. Refer to lines 32 to 34. Let's go there. What are we doing? It's a discussion here. So we're going to discuss. Please don't forget to apply your peel method in your discussions. So you give us your point followed by your example. Explain your example. Explain what you mean by giving us this example. And then you link back to what the question is saying. So what are we discussing? The discussion is on how Polonius's actions here are typical of him. Let's go to typicality 32 to 34. Let her be around him, and I'll be placed, so please you, in the ear of all their conference. If she finds him not, to England send him, or confine him, where your wisdom best shall link. Okay, let me double check if I'm reading the right place. Remember to read the right places. 32, let her be, and all their conference. Okay, let's start there. Let her be round with him, and I'll be placed, so please you, in the ear of their conference. Now, looking at the Peel method, how is this character? How are these words? Let's look at the words here, because we're going to need them in our evidence. He says, let my daughter be round with him. So the daughter must always be around to spy. And I'll be, so please you, in the ear of their conference. I will listen to everything that they say. So what is the point? How are these lines showing the typical aspect of our character? Our point, Polonius is one who loves other people's matters. So he's a spy. He can't mind his business. The evidence, he asks for permission to hide somewhere and listen into the discussion. Now, this then explains that his character is one that thrives on receiving information of others and tell to the king. Linking, therefore, he is one pathetic individual. Now, this is how I get my 3 marks here. Now, remember, you may not put it this way, but this is me giving you an example of what it is and how to approach these questions. Right. In the few minutes that's left, let's go to the next extract. Now, enter the ghost in a nightgown. Now, I love the fact that the ghost is entering in a nightgown. And the ghost says, save me and hover over me with your wings. I mean, that's Hamlet, sorry. Your heavenly gods, what would your gracious figure? The truth says, alas, he's mad. Now again, further bringing the issue of madness. So Hamlet is seeing his father's ghost entering in a nightgown, and he says, save me. Why is he using this word or these words? There is a belief that you can't see a ghost and live. So once you see a ghost, you would call on heaven to guard you. So he uses heavenly guards. Who are these? The angels. And then he says, what would your gracious figure? So he is addressing his father's ghost. The mother can't see the ghost except for Hamlet. And now Gertrude says, alas, he is mad. So according to the use of the alas, it means she is now sure that Hamlet is mad. Remember, this is happening They are not the only two characters in the scene. There's one mad clown that is hiding behind the arras, which is Polonius is listening through. Hamlet says, "Do you not come your tardy son to chide? That lap said in time and passion, let's go by the important acting of your dread command. Oh, say." And the ghost says, "Do not forget, this visitation is but to whet thy almost blunted purpose." Now look at this. The father says, "I'm not just visiting. It's a visit to remind you. Do not forget what we spoke about. And what we spoke about, you have deviated because it's almost blunted. You have not at this point avenged or dealt with the person that killed me prematurely. But look, amazement on thy mother's sits. Oh, step between her and her fighting soul." So the ghost begins to realize that his wife has a soul that is in a battle. She is not at peace at all. Conceit in weakest body, strongest work. Speak to her, Hamlet. And then let's go to the next part. Hamlet says, "It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test, and I, the matter, will reward, which madness will gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flight able to finish. The other group must join us at exactly 7 o'clock. So at this point, I do not expect the Crucible group in the group. We should have the Hamlet group in order for us to complete that which wasn't completed. Again, this gives us an indication that you have joined the group earlier, even after I have requested you not to do so. So that's why we got cut. Please learn to take instruction, guys, because now I have to have an additional time in order to finish, because some of you could not wait for the right time. So we are looking at the ulcerous place. While rank, corruption mining all within, infects unseen, confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past, avoid what is to come. Now, there are a number of words: corruption, mining all, confess yourself to heaven. We are speaking into the idea of confession of sins. Repent what's past, avoid what is to come, and do not spread the compost. Don't spread the compost on the weeds. Remember, a compost is that substance that makes the ground in which we plant to be very fertile. To make them ranker, forgive me this my virtue, for in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice. Now look at that. Virtue of vice must pardon beg, yea, curb and woo, for leave to do him good. Then Gertrude said the most famous line, one of my most favorite lines. She says, "Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain. Seeing you speak like this has done absolutely nothing but to break my heart." Twain means in two. You have cleft, you have left serious gaps in my heart that has cleft or divided my heart in twain. So my heart is extremely broken. Right. I'm just going to look at a few questions so that we don't overlap into other people's time. We have 3 minutes left. Account for Hamlet's words to the ghost. Again, Hamlet's words. Now remember, account for means give a reason. So let's see what he says in lines 5 to 7. Hamlet says, "Do you not come, your tardy son to chide? That lap said in time and passion, let's go, by the important acting of your dread demand." We forgot to highlight the dread demand. What is the demand? For Hamlet to avenge his father. So it is not just an easy demand, but it is a dreadful demand. And then, oh, say. Now let's look at the question. Account for his words. What is the reason for Hamlet to say that? So because of time, I'm not going to look at the possible answers. You'll have to work on that. Next one, explain the significance, the importance of the reference to weeds in the context of the play as a whole. Now let's look at the triggers here. You are looking at the weeds and in the context. Remember, weed is not the cannabis or weed that you smoke. We are looking at weeds as something that chokes life out of something that is supposed to grow and live. So weeds would be corruption, and the corruption in the play has killed the very fiber of the society, and it has caused the entire nation to be very vile and very much without restraint in terms of other things. Right, let's look at 11.4. Please make sure that you type in your questions before I end the session so that I can come back to your questions later and address them. Lines 11 to 14, but look, amazement to her, Hamlet. Comment on the irony. Now you give a comment on the irony of the ghost words in this line. Let's look at 11 to 14. 11, 10, 11. But look, amazement on your mother's, on thy mother sits. Oh, step in between her and her fighting soul. Conceit in weakness, body strong as works. Speak to her, Hamlet. Now we are looking at the irony. Is her soul really fighting? Because ironically, she may look like one with a fighting soul, but the fact that she is married to the ghost brother, her soul is not fighting. And she looks as one in wonder and amazement, but she's literally not wondering because her life is just going on as if nothing has happened. So remember, when the irony question is asked, don't tell us what irony is, don't define it. Look at the situation. We call this a situational irony. What is ironic when you look at this particular situation? Now, 11.9, line 30. Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain. So these are Gertrude's words. So the stage direction question you will get, and how are you going to get the 3 marks? How would you instruct the actor to deliver these lines? That's 1. What is the body language? That's 2. Or body language and tone? That's 2. The motivation for your instruction? That's 3. So you mark this 1, 2, 3. I would instruct Gertrude to say these words with her hand placed on her chest. 1 mark. Her body language will be that of a slouched body with downturned eyes, with a very set tone, because that's the motivation. She wants Hamlet to feel the impact of what his situation at this point is towards her emotions. Now, that's how you get your 3 marks for stage directions. Tell us, how do you want these words said? Body language and tone, we are not looking at whether the voice is loud or not. Is the tone instructional? Is the tone accusatory? Is the tone exclamatory? Is the tone jubilant? Is it celebratory? That's what tone means. Is it sad? Is it melancholic? So again, for tone, we are not looking at pitch, that is high or low. We are not looking at that. We want to know the tone with which a particular word are said. So make sure that you want to mention what you want them to do with their body. Instruct them to look at the other character with eyes that are downturned and their hand placed on their chest. That is the body language. And they must say this with a very sad tone, because at this point, Gertrude feels extremely heartbroken by the state in which Hamlet is. Now, this visitation almost blunted purpose. That's lines 9 to 10. Now, the instruction is clear. Using your knowledge of the play as a whole. If you do not know the play as a whole, you are not going to be able to give a critical discussion. So what are we looking at as our instructional verb here? A critical discussion of the accuracy of the ghost's observation that Hamlet's purpose has been blunted. Now, let's go to lines 9 and 10 to figure out our triggers. Do not forget, this visitation is but to whet thy almost blunted purpose. So you are looking at critically discussing. I hope you are typing in your questions on the chat box for me to look at later. How are these words accurate? They are accurate because at this point, Hamlet has not dealt with or ensured that his father is avenged, or his father's death is avenged, because he has been doubtful and he still needed to verify using the mousetrap to check whether or not the ghost of his father told him the right thing. Ladies and gents, this brings us to the end of the first session, which is the Hamlet session. Remember, you can still come back to this video and you can still watch and also focus your thinking and what needs to be done in this question. We are going to end this session so that we can allow the next group to come in. So sorry I couldn't entertain your questions. Some of your questions I may begin with tomorrow again. I'll give you a link for the essay tomorrow. So make sure that at least when I begin and when we are already streaming, you ask these questions and then we deal with the questions. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is TJ Mogane signing out. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. I will share the links and every other thing that needs shared. So don't forget to avoid joining earlier, because it's going to disturb the flow of our sessions. Would like to thank and acknowledge Mr. Kosam, who is assisting us with the online platform on YouTube, for the others who couldn't come through on the Microsoft Teams. Please do log out of the meeting so that we make space for the next group. Have a lovely night. For some, don't switch off the YouTube. We need to keep it on for those who are coming in for the next session. I hope you can hear me from where you are. Good evening, everyone. Please do indicate with a thumbs up for me if you can hear me. Let's just quickly do that, please. All right, I don't see anything. Okay, thank you. The other thing, please ensure that you check the chat box. Let me go back to the chat box here. I will paste the YouTube link so that you share with those who might not be able to join via our Microsoft Teams. Let's look at, please also show me by a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Before that, I just need to, I'm going to paste the link in your chat box for your register. Now, please make sure that before you complete the register, you double check what I am asking you to do. There's a part where I ask you to indicate the drama you are studying, and I want you to indicate that I am studying Othello, the Crucible, or the other aspect. So I hope we are on the same page. Right, let's continue and look at the question that we need to look at, which is the Crucible. Remember, the last group is the Othello group. Hopefully you did not enter quite quickly, because if that's the case, it's going to kick us out. Again, we'd like to thank Mr. Kosam, who is assisting us with the flighting of this live. So after this session, feel free to go back so that you recheck what was said. Right. Again, we are looking at a very interesting narrative. Remember, a narrative is a story. So we are looking at a story that involves a number of roles that are expressed. We have your dominant male figure roles coming in, and your subjective female roles that are coming in. But each group assets power in different ways. So these are things and concepts that you need to remember right before you sit for your exam. You need to know who Hale is as a reverend. You need to know who Abigail is. Who is Tituba? Who is Paris? Who is Mrs. Putnam? Who is, in this case, we have these particular characters. Now, please note, as you read, you are going to highlight your diction examples. Now, the first question is, why are you concealing? Okay, let me move this box. It's disturbing me here. Why are you concealing? Now, Reverend Hale is asking Abigail, what is she concealing? Now, for those who are into makeup and all of these things, you know you would use a concealer, something that hides a particular blemish or spot or something that you need not others to see. So there is something that he is asking as to what is she concealing? Have you sold yourself to Lucifer? I mean, this is a very serious question. Selling yourself to Lucifer. Now, again, the use of the Luciferian refers us to a religion, Christianity. And its approach, which is purity, Puritan. So we are looking at this particular religion, looking at people who are not compliant to scripture as people who have sold themselves to Lucifer. Now, that is another name by which Satan was known. Now, Satan is a negative connotation to his name, and then Lucifer is a positive connotation to his word, or name rather, as given by God in heaven, as Christians believe. She says, I never sold myself. I am a good girl. I am a proper girl. Now, looking at this assertion, again, it is ironic. There's absolutely no way that Abigail is a good girl. And there are a number of examples that we can use to argue this point. A good girl will never come between a married couple. She will never, as a young girl, date an older man. So she is not proper, because at this point, she has nothing to do with a married man, let alone become sexually involved with that particular man or intimate with that particular man. So she is not at all a proper character or a good girl. Mrs. Putnam enters with Tituba, and instantly Abigail points at Tituba. Now again, why is she pointing at Tituba? Abigail, she says, she made me do it. So we have a tone here of accusation. She made me do it. I mean, this is a famous line. The devil made me do it. So she is, at this point, blaming. She's blaming someone for her actions. And now Tituba responds in shock and anger. She says, Abby. And she says, she makes me drink blood. Perry says, blood? My baby's blood, Mrs. Putnam asks. No, chicken blood. I gave she chicken blood. Now already there is something about how Tituba speaks that immediately indicates to us her language proficiency. This is not proper English. No, chicken blood. I give she chicken blood. Woman, have you enlisted these children for the devil? No, sir. I don't truck with no devil. Again, Tituba stands her ground here. She says, though I've made them drink blood, chicken blood, I have no truck with no devil. Why can't she not wake up? Again, who is this she that is unable to wake? Who is she? Now remember, at this point, you need to know your story. Are you silencing this child? Then Tituba says, I love me, Betty. Again, the use of her language. You have sent your spirit out upon this child, have you not? Are you gathering souls for the devil? I mean, sent your spirit out? Are you gathering souls for the devil? Now, the devil is no longer referred to as a Lucifer, but he is regarded as a demonic entity, and they are using the negative connotation of his name instead of the Luciferian name to which he was at first referred. Then she says, she sends her spirit on me in church. I mean, this is a very heavy accusation. She sends her spirit on me in church. So already we have an accusation that says she doesn't revere or respect our God, because even in church, she's able to send a spirit. How so? She makes me laugh at prayer. I mean, we know people who always laugh at other people praying. So we could consider those people to have been made to laugh by other people. She have often laughed at prayer. She comes to me every night to go and drink blood. And then Tituba retorts and says, but you beg me to conjure. She begged me, make charm. So she is standing here acting all innocent, as if whatever she engages in is something that I've put a gun against her head and forced her to do. She's the one who has begged me to conjure. Now, the word conjure means reviving spirits of the dead. So it would be what witches would do, and they go to the graveyards and conjure up people's spirits to work for them. And you are bringing them to life in the spiritual realm instead of the physical, because the physical body is dead. So Chichuba says, you beg me to conjure. Abigail says, don't lie. And then she turns to Hale and says, she comes to me while I sleep. She always making me dream corruptions. Aha. Now, dreams in Christendoms are believed to be avenues through which God communicates to his people. So, according to Christian standards, the types of dreams I'm expected to have are holy dreams. But now, this one accuses Tituba to make a dream corruption. I mean, corruption is anything that is against the will of God. Why you say that, Abby? And I love the fact that she keeps referring to her as Abby instead of Abigail. Already this tells us about the type and nature of the relationship, or how Tituba looks at Abigail. I mean, using words such as Abby, you are showing a tone of endearment. So this person is quite dear to you. They are quite special. Why you say that, Abby? Again, look at the English used here. Then Abigail continues, sometimes I wake and find myself standing in the open doorway and not a stitch on my body. I always hear her laughing in my sleep. I hear her singing her Barbados songs and tempting me with, then Tituba says, Minister Reverend or Mr. Reverend, I never. Hale says, Tituba, I want you to wake this child. Then she says, I have no power on this child, sir. Right. You most certainly do. And you will. Now, there is an order. You will free her from it now. So we find a commanding tone here. There's a command, also known as the imperative. Keep this word imperative in mind for your paper one, especially on your advertisement, as one of the advertising techniques. When did you compact with the devil? Now, looking at the word compact, let's look at the word compact. We have a prefix com and a pact. So looking at the pact, we are looking at an agreement that you have done or a contract that you have made. So when did you compact with the devil? I didn't compact with no devil. You will confess yourself. Again, command. Or I will take you out and whip you to your death, Tituba. Again, the I will take you out, whip you to your death are quite strong masculine words. So we are seeing the dominance. Someone is exercising their power. And we could simply say they're exercising their power based on who they are in the community or within the church community. And also, their strong masculine power and dominance over a woman because according to society, women are seen to be the weakest and they should always remain subservient to the male figure. Right. Let us look at the types of questions to expect. Now, always underline instructional verbs. Refer to line 5. Again, look at the trigger. The words that you are given are the triggers for you to look at the information here. Now let's go to line 5. Line 5 says, she made me do it. She made Betty do it. Right. Let's go to the question again. The question says, account for. Okay, let me clarify something here. Please make sure you underline instructional verbs. Now, account for means give a reason. A reason for what? Abigail's accusations. Or not accusations, but rather accusation. Why is Abigail accusing Tituba? Is what you need to tell. So again, we are looking at your response. You make your point. She accuses her because, or she accuses her of this because blah, blah, blah. That's your 2 marks. Right. Explain. What are you explaining here? Why Mrs. Putnam asked the question, my baby blood or baby's blood? So you start by saying, don't start with conjunctions such as because. That's another way that sets off the marker. Because what are you, what's this connecting? Mrs. Putnam asked the question, my baby blood, to ensure A, B, C, and D, because that's how you get your 2 marks here. So ensure that you tell us the reason for the question. Remember, the sole purpose of asking a question is for clarity. I am asking a question because I am not certain. I am not sure. So I need to be able to ensure that the question is asked of my baby because I need to ascertain whether or not we are discussing my baby or someone else's baby. So that's the 2 marks there. Refer to line 2. I am a good girl. I am a proper girl. Now, please note, you are going to give us an explanation. What are you explaining? The irony of these words. We've already looked at, and again, boys and girls, if your extract looks clean, you have not annotated, neither have you highlighted, there's a good chance of you not picking up the answers that you need. So we are looking at, she says, I never sold myself. I am a good girl and I am a proper girl. Right. When you answer the question of irony, always begin the answer with, okay, let me fix something here. While she claims to be a good girl, it is ironic in that she, in actual fact, does a, that is, she dates someone who is married, and then she is one of the accusers of people of witchcraft. And therefore, this places her in an ironic situation. 2 marks. Do not define what irony is. We know what an irony is, but we need to know what is ironic. So we call this a situational irony. What is ironic in this situation? She is claiming to be a girl that's honest and a girl that is proper. What is she doing that makes her an improper girl and a bad girl? So many things she does that makes her a baddie. So that's another thing that you are looking at to say, in actual fact, this person is not a good girl, this one. Law, she's Satan herself, because while she acts all holy, with nice dresses, long dresses, a duke on her head, she always goes to church, but in all actual fact, she is Satan, this one. So you need to look at that parts of characterization and how the characters are placed or revealed to be to us. Using this extract as a starting point, I love this question because it requires you to understand the entire extract that you have read. Now, how do you understand it? You remember what was happening there, what leads to that point. So what are you supposed to do? You are going to, okay, I've done something wrong here. Let's erase this. So using this extract as a starting point, what are you asked to do? Comment on the attitude the villagers of Salem have towards Tituba. Now let's look at the word here, the trigger word, attitude. So we are looking at how do they feel towards Utituba. Again, You go back to the extract. She made me drink blood. She made me do it. She made Betty do it. Woman, have you enlisted these children for the devil? Why can't she not wake up? Are you silencing this child? You have sent your spirit upon this child, have you not? Are you gathering souls for the devil? She sends her spirit on me in church. She makes me laugh. So all of these things are the attitudes or the beliefs. What do they believe to be something that Tituba is doing? So we are looking at their belief. What do they believe Tituba to be doing? They believe that Tituba is the reason for all of the corruption that is going on. And you give the examples. She is accused, so they believe she is the reason for everything that's happening at this point. Number two, they are accusing her of putting spirits of the devil upon their children, and so forth and so on. Now remember, for a 3-mark question, we are looking at 2 points with an explanation of 1. So they believe or they accuse her for putting people's spirits on their children. 2 marks. Their children are said to laugh in church, to conjure up spirits, and so forth and so on. And thus, this is their attitude towards her. That's how you get your 3 marks there. Refer to lines 33 to 34. Let's go to 33, 34. So that's 30, 31, 32, 33. You will confess yourself, or I will take you out and whip you to your death chamber. This is not a threat. It's a promise. Discuss. You underline that. Discuss how. No. Discuss only. Just discussing. So discuss. What are you discussing? How Paris's behavior here is typical. Again, it's a 3-mark question. How is he? Let's look at the trigger. How is he behaving here? Excuse me. That's your starting point. Paris at this point is behaving quite harshly and very much intimidating. Right. That's your first point. It is typical of him because in other instances, now you're going to look at other instances where he has been seen to be the same as he is displayed on lines 33 to 34. So give us an example of where else has he behaved this way. Right. Don't forget to put your questions or type your questions on the chat box. So that I can look at the questions later and respond to you. Because I'm trying to service all of you so that we have enough time for the last group as well. I'm also exhausted. I need to rest. Let's go to extract J. Now we find Giles, Danforth, Proctor, Paris, Hathorne, and Reverend Hale. Now he's faltering. He says, I cannot give you no name, sir. I cannot. You are a foolish old man. Now, and this is quite funny. When someone says you are a stupid old man, there are 2 things that they are doing a disservice on. Not only are you old, but you are foolish. That's an insult. Mrs. Shiva, begin the record. The court is now in session. I ask you, Mr. Corey, Your Honor, he has the story in confidence. Now look at, he has the story in confidence, sir. And he, the devil, lives on such confidences. Without confidences, there could be no conspiracy, Your Honor. So we are looking at the fact that the devil is said to live on such confidences. So the art of being confident is another reason the church would accuse you of being demonic, because as a child of God, you are not expected to be confident or proudful. You must be very humble to say, I didn't do this myself, it's the Lord. But you're the one writing the exam. We understand the Lord helped you, but you are the one who sat in that exam room. It's not wrong to say, I did my best, but the Puritanism made you feel guilty for taking pride in the little things that you were doing. I think it must be broken, sir. Old man, if your informant tells the truth, let him come here openly like a decent man. Now we are looking at someone being an informant who is said to tell the truth, and that he must come openly like a decent man. Why must he be looked at as a decent man? Anyone who is able to come openly with the truth is considered to be a decent person. But if he hide in anonymity, I must know why. Why must he hide? Why must he be an anonymous person? Now, sir, the government and the central church. Now, let's look at the relationship between church and state. State is the government. The central church is the church. So there's no way the church could function without the government. And there is no way the government would function without the church. So these two entities, the government and the central church, demand of you the name of him who reported Mr. Thomas Putnam a common murderer. Excellency, Mr. Hay, why cannot blink it more? There is a prodigious fear of this court in the country. A prodigious fear of this court in this country. Then there is a prodigious guilt in the country. Are you afraid to be questioned here? I may only fear the Lord, sir, but there is fear in the country nevertheless. Now we see that there is a communal fear that has risen from all of these instances taking place, together with the accusations that have been going on. Right. Let's quickly look at the questions. Oh, we are not done. So Danford is angered now. He says, reproach me not with the fear in the country. There is fear in the country because there is a moving plot to topple Christ in the country. I mean, look at the diction used here. A moving plot to topple Christ in the country. There's a plan to remove Christ in the country. Remember, for any country that has a relationship between itself and the church, Christ is at the center of it all. So there's a problem that you want to remove Christ as a center of it all, but it does not follow that everyone accused is part of it. No corrupted man may fear this court, Mr. Hale. None. And to Giles he says, you are under arrest in contempt of this court. Now, sit you down and take counsel with yourself, or you will be set in the jail until you decide to answer all questions. So again, excuse me, guys, we are looking at the commanding tone here. You'll be set in the jail until you decide. Now sit you down and take counsel of yourself, or you'll be set in the jail until you decide. Right. Refer to line 1. Again, look at the trigger. What appears to be a trigger is I cannot give you no name, sir. I cannot. Let's go back on the text to see if that is, yes, I cannot give you no name. I cannot. So here, give you no name. I cannot. So we are looking at a refusal or a refusing tone. So let's go to the question. What is the question requiring of us? Account for. You underline that. Account for means give a reason. What is Giles' reason's refusal or reason to refuse to provide the court with a name? So at this point of the play, you should know and have an understanding why Giles is not willing to give the court a person's name. Right. 15.7, lines 4 to 6, Your Honor, he on such confidences, let's go to lines 4 to 6. He has the story in confidence, sir, and the devil lives on such confidences. Without confidences, there could be no conspiracy, Your Honor. I mean, we are looking at the issue of confidences. Oh no. All right, we are back. So confidence, the story in confidence, we can look at not a confidence in that sense, confidence as a secret. I am telling you something in confidence. And we are looking at conspiracy, would be unproven theories or stories. If you remember, when we dealt with COVID-19, there were a number of conspiracies, people saying there's something that is in the air that the government has released so that people can inhale and get sick. Some people would go on to say there's something different about air. Or people would say, they would send voice notes to say, the 4G or the 5G that's coming in, blah, blah, blah. There were a number of stories which were unproven. So now we need to understand the use of this diction as to get an answer of what the question wants us to do. So you're going to discuss. Remember to use your peel method in your responses. Give us your point, give us the evidence, explain what you mean by that evidence, and sum up what your point has initially put out there. What these lines convey about Proctor and Paris's relationship. So we are looking at the lines. What are they telling us regarding the nature of a relationship Paris and Proctor has? This is what this question is requiring you to do here. Right. 15.8. A number of you have joined in without listening. We did ask you to join at a certain time, so it means some of you joined earlier. I am sharing the link to the attendance register, and let me also re-share the link to our YouTube platform for those who can't get into the Teams. And also please keep the link so that you are able to watch again during your free time. Remember, it's going to be one video of all drama questions beginning with Hamlet. So you'll just forward to your crucible part so that you can get that which is supposed to be your part. Right. So at this point, we said we are looking at what these lines convey about Paris and Proctor's relationship. What type of a relationship do these lines say about our characters? Let's go back to lines 4 to 6 again. 4 to 6. Your Honor, He has the story in confidence, and then Paris says, the devil lives on such confidences. Without confidences, there could be no conspiracy, Your Honor. So already this tells us that there is a quite of a strain to this particular relationship. But saying there's quite a strain is very vague and it will not give you a mark. So you need to establish vividly what nature of a relationship do these characters have so that you are able to be awarded a mark there. Right. 15.8, 15 to 16, we cannot blink in the country. That's your trigger. Comment on. What are you commenting on? What Hale's words reveal about the state of affairs in Salem at this point of the play. Let's look at the trigger in our question. The state of affairs. Where? In Salem. How are the current affairs of this particular city? Let's look at lines 15 and 16 to look at the diction. We cannot blink it more. There is a prodigious fear. So there is a prodigious fear of this court. Where? In the country. Danforth says, then because of there is a prodigious fear of this court in the country, there should be a prodigious guilt in the country. So we are looking at the current affairs, looking at prodigious fear of this court, prodigious guilt rather, of this particular country. So now, lines 26 to 28, you are under answer all questions. Let's go to lines 26 to 28. You are under arrest in contempt of this court. Now, sit you down and take counsel with yourself. You will be set in the jail until you decide to answer all the questions. Now let's look at the question here. If you were the director, now we call this stage directions. Stage directions. If you were the director of the play, The Crucible, how would you instruct the players to deliver these words? Pay specific attention to body. All right, let's do this. I don't want to mess up here. So how would you instruct the actors to deliver these lines? That is number one. Number two, pay specific attention to body language and tone. Now, please note, that's number two. Where am I? All right, my cursor is there. I need this much. That's number two. Then motivate your instructions. That is your third mark. So you need to begin by saying, as the director, I would instruct. Now remember, you first need to check who is speaking. So let's look at 26 and 20. So that is Danforth. So you would instruct Danforth to say, you are under arrest in contempt of this court. So I would instruct Danforth with an outstretched arm to point out to the person to whom he's speaking. And he must have a facial expression that is indicating agitation and anger, with a body that is leaning forward towards the other character. And he must say it with an angry tone. Now, please note, we are not asking you about pitch or high or low. We don't want you to say with a high voice or with a low voice. That is not tone. Is a tone commanding? Is it agitated? Is it instructional? It is we have your imperative tone, which is also known as a commanding tone. Why? Motive. Because at this point, he feels like the other character is not give them the information that they're looking for. So, guys, this is a very free 3 marks that you cannot afford to lose. I don't wish you to lose the 3 marks here. Now, the last question, based on your knowledge of the play as a whole. Now, if you have not reread the play, you may be disadvantaged. What are you doing? You are critically discussing. Critically discuss. What are you critically discussing? The extent to which Danforth's role in the handling of the trials is integral to the outcome of the play. How he handles the trial is a part of the ending of the play. So you start by saying, Danforth handles the trial in this way. That's your first point. He handles it this way in order to ensure this and that, which leads to this type of an outcome at the end of the play. That is your 3 marks. Ladies and gents, that's TJ Mogane signing out. I am not going to be able to answer your questions during the session because I need to begin with the next session. Please ensure to leave your questions on the chat box. I will go through your questions after the chat box. After the session, and then in your own time, you will then make time to go back to this link and rewatch the video and be able to give us, or rather give yourself another opportunity to respond. Let me see if I see someone's hand is up here. My laptop is refusing. Okay. Percy, I'm allowing your mic. Please ask your question. I think you'll be the only question I'm going to take because we already are in the Othello Group's session. What's your question, Percy? Percy JR?
Even let's to ask, can you please
Okay,
help us
wait. I cannot hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you please also help us with Life of Pi?
Unfortunately, I've already had sessions on Life of Pi and Dorian Gray 2 weeks ago. I can't go back there, unfortunately. But what I can try and do is to do a pre-recording, which you can access on your own time. Yeah, I've already covered Life of Pi. I will be going back because we still have paper one to cover. So going back to life of buying building thing is going to take a lot of my time.
Okay, so thanks.
All right. I think, sorry. Azizipo, okay, that's the last question I'm going to take because we need to start with the Hamlet group. Azizipo, Azizipo. All right, then it means she doesn't have a question. Right. Please note if you are a if you are a Crucible member, please make sure that you leave the group. That also includes those who are here for Othello. I want all of us to end the session because if we continue now, it is going to cut us before we complete. So everyone is going to have to leave the group, and the Othello group people must then come back to the group so that we can look at the Othello paper. All right. Bessie, is that an old hand or are you still asking? Or Azizipo, ask your question, please.
All right, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, sir. My question is, when is our session for paper one?
Before end of this week.
All right, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Only when are you writing paper one? My dates are
We
a
write
bit messed
paper
up.
one on Wednesday. We write on
Next week.
Wednesday, sir. This week.
Huh?
We write paper one this week, sir.
This week on Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
All right, then it means we're going to carry sell tomorrow's
Tomorrow.
paper for literature. Let's go to paper one tomorrow and finish everything. So it's going to be a very long session here.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, then bye. All right, that brings us to the end of our session for the Crucible. Everyone, please leave the group or the session, and then we will reconvene in the next 2 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow for paper one. Thanks, Azizipo, for reminding me. I thought paper one was somewhere next week, but it's okay. We'll look at paper one tomorrow. I will, however, do a live recording that is going to be accessed later so that we don't have a lot of things to do tomorrow. All right, good night. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last session. Just to ensure we are all here for the Othello session, I am going to paste the link to the YouTube presentation, and I am going to re-share the link to today's attendance register. Please ensure to fill in these registers, as they are very much pertinent to what we are doing. Tomorrow we were supposed to look at your essay writing, but someone has reminded me that you're writing paper one on Wednesday. So tomorrow I will take some time to go through a paper one presentation. So what's going to happen is there are certain sections I am going to pre-record, and then I will send you the links to those pre-recordings to watch at your own time tomorrow. And then I am going to specifically work on the harder sections with you. So we are going to have a drive-by type of a session with Miss Ayanda tomorrow. And we're going to put our literature session on hold. We will only come back after you have written your paper one, so that we thoroughly prepare you for that. Right. We are looking at the last group of people, which is the Othello group. Again, just as I have spoken to the Hamlet group, the Shakespearean contextual questions are very much problematic. When we mark these, we find that a lot of learners don't do well in these particular questions. So I wanted to look back to your June exam and how much you got if you chose Othello's contextual. And did that mark improve when you wrote your prelim? If there was no improvement, it literally means that these questions are extremely not the types of questions to play around with. You need to be very much sure of what it is that you are doing in order to master these questions. So we don't want you to disadvantage yourself when it comes to these particular questions. I hope our session is not going to be cut out. I hope you all joined at the right time. So let's begin. The first thing that you need to look at when you get the question paper is which this particular extract comes. So in this case, we are looking at Act 2, Scene number 1. So already, this calls for your remembrance of what happens in each scene, so that you know what is happening. The second thing you look at the characters interacting in this particular scene. Kosam, are you winning? I see that on YouTube we are still struggling to. Let me allow your mic here so that you are able to speak to me. I'm trying to. Okay, let me allow your mic here so that you are able to speak to me. Are you able to get the paper on your side? Kosam? All right, no. You'll speak to me as soon as you are able to pick up what I'm saying. Your mic is enabled. You can unmute on your side, Kosam. All right, no, let me continue. You'll find us by the way. Right. I cannot speak enough of this content. Now, as you read, identify the diction that is used. So Othello says he can't speak enough of this content. What is this content? It stops me here. It's too much of joy. And this, the greatest discords be, now they kiss, that e'er our hearts shall make. Iago says, in an aside, you need to know what an aside is. Oh, you're well tuned now. You're well tuned now, which could also connote that at a certain point, these were not well tuned. So this is another thing that we need to look at, that our character is bringing to the fore. You are well tuned now. But I'll set down the pegs that make this music. So he's speaking about the pegs that make this music. Remember, music is anything that is amusing to the ear. It's something that makes us joyous and something that makes us enjoy that which is before us. As honest as I am, I love this. He's speaking of an honesty. He says, as honest as I am. So once we see such, we are sure to get a question on irony at a certain point here. So, how is he honest is something that is worth considering. Come, let's to the castle. New friends, our wars are done. Now, there are a number of words. Friends, news rather. Friends, our wars are done. The Turks are drowned. How do our old acquaintance of the eye, however, you shall be well desired, in Cyprus. I have found great love among them. Oh, my sweet, I prattle out of fashion and I dote in mine own comfort. Right. Iago, for that I do suspect the lusty Moor. Now there is a suspicion, and the Moor is called a lusty Moor. Had leaped into my seat, the thought whereof doth like a poison. So there is like a poisonous mineral gnaw my inwards. So this is a simile that is used here, like it's simile, like a poisonous mineral gnaw in my inwards, and nothing can or shall content my soul till I am evened with him, wife for wife, or failing so, yet that I put them more at least into a jealousy so strong that judgment cannot cure. It's very strong words used here. We are looking at a jealousy so strong that judgment cannot cure. Which thing to do if this poor trash of Venice, whom I trash, for his quick hunting, stand the putting on. I'll have our Michael Cassio on the hip, abuse him. So I'll have someone abuse him to the Moor, in the rank guard, for I fear Cassio with my nightcap too. Make the Moor thank me, love me, and reward me for making him egregiously as an ass, and practicing upon the peace and quiet even to madness. Sorry, tis here, but yet confused. Knavery's plain face is never seen till used. Right. Again, make sure you read the instructions carefully. The reference is line 11, and you need to identify the triggers of the question. The triggers to the question are, honey, you shall be well desired in Cyprus. Now, you are going to underline your instructional verbs. Account for. That's what you're going to do here. What are you accounting for? For Desdemona's presence in Cyprus. Account for means give a reason. Give a reason. Why is Desdemona in Cyprus? Is the question. So you need to start by saying, Desdemona is in Cyprus to do A, B, and C. That's your 2 marks that is out of the way. Don't start with because. That is a conjunction. Never begin sentences with connectors or conjunctions. Begin it with the stem that is in the question. The question is account for Desdemona's reason for being in Cyprus. So the reason for Desdemona to be found in Cyprus is because of A, B, C, and D. And that's how you get your 2 marks. Right. 13.2. What is the effect of Iago's repeated reference to Othello as a Moor? Now, we are looking at the repetition. So we stated that words could be repeated to emphasize. So there is an emphasis of Othello as a Moor. So we need to first understand what a Moor is. And in this case, we will understand what exactly it is that Iago is trying to emphasize about Othello. Right, lines 25. I'll have our Michael Cassio on the hip. On the hip means next to me. So now you are going to give a discussion. Discuss Iago's feelings. How does Iago feel towards Cassio? Now you're looking at the fact that I'll have our Michael Cassio. No, let's go to line 25 to verify our speaker. So our speaker here is Iago. So he says, for that I do suspect the lusty Moor hath leaped into my seat, the thought whereof doth like a poisonous mineral gnaw my inwards, and nothing can or shall contend my soul till I am evened with him, wife for wife. Of failing so yet that I put the Moor at least into a jealousy so strong that judgment cannot cure. Which thing to do if this poor trash of Venice, whom I trash for his quick hunting, stand the putting on? And now our reference is, I'll have our Michael Cassio on the hip, abuse him to the Moor, in the rank gap. So Discuss Iago's feelings. So we are looking at Iago's attitude. How does he look at Cassio? He sees Cassio as this and this because he trusts Cassio to accomplish A, B, C, and D. And that's how you are going to get your second mark. So you're looking at the feelings or the attitude. How does he feel towards Cassio? So you look at all of the words that he is using, that is going to show and indicate the emotions, the feelings, the attitude with which Iago feels towards Cassio. 1 to 4, I cannot speak, hearts shall make. Now let's go there. Again, always go there. 1 to 4. I cannot speak enough of this content. It stops me here. It's too much of joy, and this, the greatest discords be. And then there's a kiss there. That's ever our hearts shall make. Right. So we have this content, stops me here, too much of joy, greatest discords, and the kiss there, our hearts shall make. Right. Discuss how. So we are looking at how the Othello revealed in these lines differ from the Othello we meet later. Now, please note, this is a comparative question. Now, when you answer this question, instruction is quite clear. How is the Othello now different to the Othello we meet later? You need to start by indicating that Othello now is this type of a person whom later changes to become this other type of a person. And then you give a reason why there is that particular change in order for you to get to the third mark. Why is it important that there is this particular change that has changed him from this type of a character to this character? Example, Othello now is seen to be very humble, very much in humility, but later on he is seen to be very much a dangerous person. It's not the truth. I'm just giving you a structure of the question. He seemed to be very dangerous because he has learned that being too soft allows people or makes people play on his head. And this is one of the ways in which he needs to protect himself from people taking advantage of him. That is how you get the 3 marks there. Right. Comment on Iago's ironic use of the words. I wanted to pay attention to this irony issue. The irony question does not require you to, what's this? It doesn't require you to define what irony is. We already know what irony is. So you start by saying, while we see him to call himself honest at this point in his description, it is ironic because, now that's where we pick up your first mark. It is ironic because looking at the current and present situation, he is not an honest person. He is not honest because later he is found to do A, B, and C. And that's how you get the 3 marks. Excuse me, guys. I'm still healing. So please ensure to not give a definition of irony. We know what irony is. We know what it means. What we need you to do here, tell us what is as opposed to what it is not, and the reason why it is ironic. He calls himself honest. but looking at other actions that he performs, he is not honest because he is found to do A, B, and C. He does that because he is trying to accomplish E, F, and G. 13.5. Oh no, we've already answered that. Line 9. Our wars are done. Let's go and see if line 9 is the do all and be all. Come, let's to the castle, new friends. Our wars are done. So that is our trigger to the question. Now, comment, oh no, sorry. Comment on the accuracy of this line in relation to Othello's personal life. There's so many things that are going on in this question, which ignored will really put you in a disadvantageous situation. Now, boys and girls, if your question paper looks clean, no annotations, no breakdown of questions, the instructional verb here is to comment on, give a comment, give a commentary. Now, how is this our wars are done accurate in relation to Othello's personal life? What wars is Othello at a certain point experiencing? And how are these done in relation to his personal life? They are done because we see him succeeding in A, B, and C and no longer affected by E, F, and G. So for this question, you need to ensure that all aspects of the question are dealt with. Right. Let's continue. Extract H. Now learn, please, learners, in your answer sheet, you are going to write the extract description. So we started with with extract G. So you're going to start by writing extract G, and then you start with a numbering system and you write your answers. Now let's see Lodovico, Othello, Desdemona, Emilia, who else? Yeah, those are the characters we see here. That's not the okay. Right. Now, I do beseech you, sir, trouble yourself no further. So we are looking at don't bother yourself anymore. Oh, pardon me, 'twill do me good to walk. Madame, good night. I humbly thank your ladyship. Your honor is most welcome. Will you walk, sir? Oh, Desdemona, my lord. The fact that she refers to him as my lord. Now, the word lord means owner. Already we are seeing the power relations that is coming through here. The fact that you are going to address someone as my lord, you are actually saying, I am under your supreme control. Get to your bed on the instant. Already that is an instruction. It's instructional, is commanding. I will be returned forthwith. Dispatch your attendant there, look it be done. I will, my lord. There's a repetition of this, my lord. So Othello, Lodovico, and attendants, they move off. How goes it now? He looks gentler than he did. Dost thou in conscience think, tell me, Emilia, that there be women do abuse their husbands in such gross kind? There be such or some such, no questions. I do not think there is any such woman. Yes, a dozen, and as many to the vantage as would store the world they played for. But I do think it is their husbands' faults if wives do fall. That's something to consider here. Say that they slack their duties. Now, wives have duties that they are expected to perform. Some are domestic, some are sexual duties, and so forth and so on. So, say that they slack their duties and pour our treasures into foreign laps. Now, look at this word choice here. Pour our treasures into foreign laps, or else break out in peevish jealousies, throwing restraints upon us, or say they strike us, or scant our former having in despite. Why? We have goals, and though we have some grace, yet we have some revenge. I love this. While we may look soft, we are actually very much dangerous. Let husbands know their wives have sense like them. And I love what Emilia is saying here, to say husbands must understand that we have sense like them. We can think like them. They see and smell and have their palates both for sweet and sour as husbands have. Right. And have we not affections, desires for sport and frailty as men have? Now that's a very great question. Now she's saying when you look at the word sport, we are not looking at cricket as a sport. We are looking at, or we've got 14 minutes before the session ends. So I need to make sure that I finish. Sport would have to do with affection, your public display of affection, your kissing, your petting, your hugging. That's the sport that she is saying, not the cricket or rugby. So she's saying, Nati, we've got desires for sport and frailty as men have. Then let them use us well. Now, there's an element of use here. She says, let them make use of us very well, else let them know the ills we do, their ills instructs us so. So whatever wrongdoing that they do to us, we can be even. Right. Let's try and cover the 14 minutes. What news has Lodovico brought from Venice? Again, if you don't have your storyline knowledge, you are not going to be able to tell us what news. And in this case, you are not referred to any line. So this is a knowledge-based question on your knowledge of the drama itself. Refer to line 1 to 3. I do beseech you. Thank you, ladyship. Account for the underlying. Now, what are you giving a reason for? For the underlying tension that is evident between Othello and Lodovico. So we are looking at our trigger here, the tension that is evident between Othello and Lodovico. So what you need to do here, identify the tension. What's the problem? There is this problem between the two characters, and it is because of this. So underlying is something that we might not see, but it is a push factor to a particular tension or disagreement or a strain in a particular relationship. So when a woman has trust issues, the underlying tension would be that of cheating. She's got trust issues because this man has had a number of instances where he got caught for cheating, and therefore their relationship is in tension. There are no agreements, there is no trust because this person has never been someone worth trusting. Now let's look at the stage direction question. Refer to lines 31 to 34. Please always check 31 to 34. So who is speaking here? Our character is Emilia speaking. So we are going to look at Emilia only. If you were the director of the production Othello, how would you instruct the actor to deliver these lines? That's the first point. And you are going to pay attention to body language and tone. And then you give motivation for your instructions. Why do you want them to act that way? So you look at the words. Let's look at 31 to 34. 31, as husbands have, and have we not affection, desires sport, and frailty as men have? Then let them use us well, else let them know the ills we do. Their ills instruct us so. So you need to start by saying, I will instruct Emilia to say these words with sincerity, with her hand placed on, you check the character they're speaking to. I want her to look at this character with downturned eyes or with wide open eyes to show that she is engaging in the matter. And she must say it with a sincere tone. Now, tone here, we are not asking whether it's loud or it is low or it is high or low. Don't say with a loud tone. That is not a tone. Is the tone sincere? Is the tone commanding? Is the tone sad? Is it melancholic? It is dejected? Is it celebratory? Is it interjectory? You look at what words are said in this particular line or lines, and then you instruct the actor. So here you are like the director to say, how about when you say these words, put your hand on your chest and tilt your head a little bit to your right and open your eyes wide open and have a sincere tone to show that you mean what you say. Now that's the motivation, so that the character shows the other character that whatever they are saying is meant with a very deep sincerity. So that is how you are going to get the 3 marks. Last question. Using your knowledge of the play as a whole. Now there are people who have not been in class when these plays were taught, and neither have they taken time to read these particular plays. At this juncture, you are not going to be able to win. You should know at this point the play as a whole so that you are able to give a critical discussion. What are you critically discussing? You are critically discussing the unlikely friendship or friendship that develops between Desdemona and Emilia. Let's look at our trigger. Unlikely. If something is unlikely, it's not possible to happen. Discuss the unlikely friendship that develops, something, an impossible type of a relationship, something that we are forcing to have between the two of us. Now, the unlikely friendship that develops between, what nature of the relationship? So you start by saying the nature of a relationship is strained. It is unlikely because this and this and this would be a factor that is going to jeopardize this particular kind of a relationship. Ladies and gents, TJ Mogane coming to you via Mr. King Kosam, who is ensuring that we do get this the stream going on. Thank you so much, Mr. Kosam, for assisting us. Hopefully, we are going to be able to stream tomorrow for your paper one. We are going to put paper two on hold because you're writing paper one on Wednesday. And I wish somebody had reminded me. Remember, I've been in hospital, I haven't been well. There are certain work related things that I'm not currently checking out because every time I need to rest. But because of the love for the job that I'm doing, I need to come through and assist you in you getting prepared for the exam. But no one reminded me that you are writing paper one this week. I thought paper one was next week. So tomorrow's session is going to be long because we will need to make sure that we cover all aspects of paper one. And also, I will pre-record. I will send you a recording. I've pre-recorded a recording yesterday on how to attempt a comprehension. So I'm not going to teach that tomorrow. What I'm going to teach is look at the questions of the comprehension passage. And then I'll go to other aspect of paper one. Hopefully we will be able to stream. I'll have to check with Mr. Kosam if he's going to be assisting us tomorrow. But nonetheless, we have Umem Ayanda. We are going to use her Microsoft Teams. We just have to double check how many people can it accommodate. If it can't accommodate many people, we'll have to also make a plan to have all of you come in. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully you have left your questions on the chat box for me to peruse and also give responses to. Please remember a link was shared for the YouTube, which means it will be available even after this session. Go back to the video, rewatch. Remember, it's one video with 3 different drama or plays. So you will forward to your prescribed drama so that you don't waste your data and your time. You'll then begin from the Othello aspect of the paper, and you go through the notes as I have presented them to you. Thank you so much. We are all exhausted at this time. Majority of us can't wait to sleep. Unfortunately for you, grade 12s, how shame. You can't sleep because some of you are writing tomorrow. So all the best. We hope your exams are coming okay, and that you are also understanding questions and you are answering what questions are asking. We are going to call it a night. Thank you so much for your time and also for respecting our time with Mr. Kosam as well. Have yourselves a good night. Make sure you have completed the register so that we can keep up with our attendances. Good night, guys, and thank you so much.